I want to talk to you guys about my struggles early on in the gym. And this video isn't meant to be like, oh, poor me or anything like that. Honestly, a lot of these mistakes were very stupid mistakes that I could have avoided if I had sought out good coaching early on, but I was stupid. I wanted to try to do everything on my own, and I just dealt with a lot of issues for years that impacted my progress. I didn't build as much muscle as I wanted to. My back, my knees were always hurting, and I'm putting out this video just to share a little bit of my story. You might look at what I'm doing right now and think that, he's been doing this forever, but I dealt with a lot of bad stuff early on. So I started out lifting weights like early high school. My high school had a really good weight room. Like, it was awesome. It was really old school, metal weights, like 10 squat racks. There was a turf. It had a neck machine. Like, it was that type of a gym. Energy was just so good. And I was just like, whoa, like I really fell in love with this place. But I really just couldn't make a lot of the movements work for me because, part of it, like I said, was my own stupidity, but part of it also was just what was being taught. Like, we were taught to squat with, weight in our heels, never let our knees go past our toes, and keep our chest up at all times. If you've ever tried that, you know just how much that makes your lower back want to just scream, and it's impossible to feel your quad muscles working at all. So that was also really frustrating. But the worst injury I ever had was in like my second year of lifting. I was power cleaning. I had weight on the bar that I had no business lifting. I think it was only like 35 pounds on each side. And so I jerked the weight up, and then I got a lightning bolt of pain shoot up the right side of my back. It was like instantly. My eyes started swelling up with tears. It really hurt to walk. I couldn't finish my walk home. I had to call my mom to come pick me up. I go to the doctor a couple days later, and the guy just tells me to rest and ice it. Could not have been more unhelpful. Didn't even suggest physical therapy or anything. That gave me some residual apprehension around lifting weights and tightness in my body that kind of just stuck with me all throughout high school, and honestly all through college as well. Coupled with the fact that I played ice hockey. That was like my sport growing up. And in ice hockey, you rotate to one side over and over and over again, and you never go to the opposite side. So what happens when you do that is your body develops adaptations to help you get better at that, to help you explosively rotate to one side. So the adaptations that my body developed for that were advantageous for ice hockey, but they weren't for the gym. Because in the gym, a lot of the stuff happens in the sagittal plane, so you want to be able to be balanced in order to do that. So especially when I picked up a barbell, I always felt so imbalanced and off-centered. It was a problem that like I couldn't articulate to anybody because I was looking around and no one seemed like they had the same problem as me. Meanwhile, all my friends are lifting weights, having fun, getting jacked, and I'm just sitting here like, what the fuck is like going on with me? And then, like I said, it was just like the pervasive bad cues in the fitness industry. Like, there's so many bad cues. Like, this is another issue that so many people don't talk about. Like, you look up a deadlift video and it's like 15 straight minutes of just cues that are probably unnecessary for you. These trainers who put this stuff out, like, they overcomplicate these topics to make it seem like, they know a lot about it. But in practice, you don't want to have a lot of cues in your head when you go to approach an exercise. You want to have like as few cues as possible, which is what I do with myself and I teach with my clients now. And like, it gets great results, but I didn't know that at the time. I thought the more complex, the better. I tried to squat, deadlift, barbell bench press, like all this stuff for years. Didn't really work out. I usually tweaked something every few weeks, every few months, like whether it was my back, my shoulder, my knees, like whatever. I was in this constant cycle of just getting injured, taking some time off the gym, going light, building up in weight, hurting myself, starting the cycle all over again. So it was just that constantly, which led me down the corrective exercise rabbit hole. So I don't know if you know about this. People like Squat University kind of started and enabled this, like the idea that you have to spend 20, 30 minutes on these corrective exercises that are generally pretty low stimulus, low yield. I'll flash up a video of me doing one in college on the screen, but it's just like, it's not the stuff that gets results. It's eyewash and it wastes time. I also didn't know that back then. So I struggled with lifting through high school, college, and like a year after college. That whole entire time, I could not tell you honestly that I was really having fun in the gym, even though like deep down I loved it and I knew like how much potential there was there for me. Because the reason I got into lifting was that I was really insecure with the way I looked. I did not grow up with a good looking body shape. I thought I had really wide hips, small shoulders. It didn't really like give off the masculine vibe that I was looking for, so you get insecure about it. You get insecure about yourself, the way you look in clothes, like all that stuff. Like it bleeds over into other areas of life, and like you just know that like you can do better. And it wasn't until that year after college I finally got into some good coaching coaching, some good exercise cues. I started to be able to lift really heavy and push myself, and it was awesome. You know, I felt like I was making up for lost time. It took me a little bit to get over that. How long have I been lifting? I've been lifting for over 10 years. And, you know, I tell people, I don't have the physique for someone who's been lifting weights for 10 years, but I'm on the right path now. My lifts feel good. I'm not plagued with joint pain like I used to be. And I just have fun. Like my clothes fit me better. I'm confident with the way I look. Everything is just great. I'm actively living the dream that I wanted when I was a kid. I guess the whole point of this video is that if you're in the situation that I was at years ago, your concerns are valid. If an exercise doesn't feel right to you, if you're constantly plagued with injuries and you feel like lifting, you know, isn't your thing, but like deep down, you know, like it could be the key to living the life you want, your intuition is right. You just need some good coaching. Follow my page, try to follow good coaches, and just keep pushing, because, you know, I think lifting weights is probably one of the most important things you could ever do in your life. I think it's one of the most rewarding things you could ever do, and it can literally change your life. So, you know, even though no one really talks about this stuff, from what I see, if this finds you and you're struggling with all this stuff, just know that I went through it too, and it's possible to get out.